Many of you are probably familiar with this tragic story that happened about 3 years ago.
Family tragedy for country music star Granger Smith. He has shared the news that his 3-year-old son died in a drowning accident at home, and Amy's here with that story. Hey, Amy.
Such a terrible story, George. Granger Smith calling this a tragic accident. The singer and his wife turning to social media to deliver what he called unthinkable news.
This morning, the country music world in shock, grieving the sudden death of singer Granger Smith's 3-year-old son after he drowned at their family home in Texas. Smith delivering what he called the unthinkable news on Thursday, revealing River passed away following a tragic accident, and despite doctors' best efforts, he was unable to be revived, adding that the joy River brought to their lives cannot be expressed, and his light will be forever in our hearts.
But through that traumatic experience of losing his 3-year-old son, the famous country music singer, Granger Smith, has found the true meaning of life through Jesus Christ. He's giving up his music career to pursue ministry.
This book, it starts with losing my son River.
Yeah.
And it's my journey after that. And so the journey from there, because a lot of people know that story, well, my fans do, but they don't know the details of moving forward through that and what it took to move through that loss and what I had to surrender to. So that's going to be the message is, look, if you're going through anything, if you're suffering, if you're grieving, if you have heartbreak, or maybe even you just lost a job, I can't empathize with your exact situation, but I could tell you that I was hurting, and I could tell you that I tried everything to come out of it, and nothing worked. And so let me show you what happened to me.
It is a big deal for someone like Granger, who has excelled in his country music career and gained fame and prominence, to leave the lucrative career behind to serve the Lord. When someone experiences the goodness and joy of having a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, this life's pleasures, wealth, and fame become meaningless.
You got to tell me all about this, because I know you're dabbling into the ministry. I heard you're writing a book. Fill me in on everything.
Yeah, I'm moving away from music because it feels like I'm needing to market myself and I'm needing approval and praise. And that is contradicting the book that I'm putting out that's about surrendering and allowing the Lord to work through His providence and His sovereignty, and taking up my cross and following Him is not what I feel like I'm doing personally on a Saturday night, needing attention and praise from the fans.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying that somebody else can't do that. I'm just not good at it.
Okay.
So that's where this change is coming from me.
In this video he posted on his social media, Granger shared details about his decision to quit and his plans after leaving the music industry.
I've been so nervous to make this.
Some Christians are skeptical when a celebrity becomes a Christian. Some people believe the conversion is not real, which is totally understandable. After all, the disciples of Jesus initially only believed Apostle Paul's conversion was genuine once they began to see the fruit of his salvation. Listen to what Granger says next, and it will become clear that he is actually leaving everything behind to follow and serve Jesus.
I know that a lot of y'all might not understand this at all.
We want to make 3 crucial points. First, in His sovereignty and divine providence, God transformed what the enemy intended for evil, that is, the tragic death of Smith's son, into something that brings glory to His name. Granger Smith has millions of followers, and we are convinced that God will save many of them through his testimonies.
I'm not going to get caught up in the reasons, and I'll never know. But we will find the meaning and the good in this, and the way to spread this message and to spread this legacy. And He'll always be with me, and He'll always be in our hearts. So. Just thank you guys for being there for us and being amazing. Geeky Nation's amazing, and for all the support. Don't feel sorry for us, because we feel very blessed. We had an incredible little boy for 3 years. We feel really good about that.
Second, experiencing any form of tragedy can pull someone either on the dark side or toward the light, Jesus Christ. Granger's pain drew him to God. He tried to fix it with his own strength, but failed miserably. But once he surrendered everything to the Lord, God took over his pain and gave him the peace that surpassed all understanding.
I actually have a book coming out, and really the whole purpose of the book is a faith that saved my life, and from myself, from the darkest of grief. When my wife and I lost our little boy, River, who was 3 years old. And we went down a journey that I thought I could fix on my own with self-help and self-improvement and exercise and positivity and visualization and meditation and devotionals. I thought I could just mend it and fix it and move on. And I couldn't. It only got worse and worse until I realized that surrender was what I needed to do. I needed to surrender to God and say, God, I don't know the answers to this, but I know that you do. And so I'm going to give it to you, and I'm going to surrender to your purpose and your will and whatever you need from me in my life. And when I could totally surrender that, then there was peace, there was hope, and there was joy simultaneously with the grief. And then that's life.
Some people never heal after losing loved ones, but when you lean on Jesus, He will comfort you through the pain and help you heal. Third, it is important to understand that Christians are not immune to suffering. Pain and suffering are part of living in a sin-cursed world. From time to time, we will experience pain. It may not be losing a child or a loved one tragically, but we have a beautiful promise from God that He will always be with us and deliver us through our suffering. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And through the rivers, they shall not overflow you. When you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned, nor shall the flame scorch you. Isaiah 43, verses 3-4.
You know, death is a constant companion to the living. Its presence becomes more and more prominent as the years go by. It's always there, but we don't always recognize it. But sometimes death looms large. And it seems not only inescapable and inevitable, but it seems imminent. And it just weighs on us. And it can make us hopeless. There have been several such times in my own life. And each of these situations that I faced that caused me to think differently about death were not unique to me. Others have faced similar situations and have had death become more real to them as a result. The first was the death of my cousin. The second time that this loomed large was when my father died at the age of 55. I'll never forget that. Related to that was my own recent brush with death. Interestingly enough, my second heart surgery took place almost 15 years to the day after my father's death from a massive coronary. Knowing that death will come to us all is one thing. But having hope in spite of the fact that you know that is another. And so there is this tension, right? For me to live is Christ, but to die is gain. There is this tension. So how do we have hope in the midst of this tension? And I believe here in Revelation 21, we have a wonderful answer to that question. The believer has hope of a world that is better than this one. We have hope of a world that's better than this one. And that's incredibly important because it helps us to realize in those moments where we're clinging to life, it helps us to realize that, we're clinging to something when God has promised us something better. We cling to it because this is what we know, but God has promised us something better.
Please help us spread biblical truth. Subscribe, like, and share. God bless you. We pray the Lord continues to heal and restore the Smith family and help Granger remain strong and faithful as he pursues Christian ministry.